है कि इसको कैसे करना है। ये जो जैसे अभी आपने ओपन किया है तो ये मैं सॉल्व कर सकती हूँ।
अच्छा, तो आप इसको करना चाहती हैं या पहले मैं अपनी अटेम्प्ट बताऊं?
अब मैं थोड़ा सा बताती हूँ, अगर मैं
जी,
कैसे करती हूँ फिर आप कीजिए।
प्लीज।
हमारे पास
आप अपना स्क्रीन शेयर कर दें अपनी।
तो फिर उसके लिए
अच्छा,
अम,
सॉरी, आप ये कहते हैं आपसे वो बताना चाह रही हैं। ओके, मैं शेयर कर लेता हूँ। ये ठीक है, बताइए। मैं एनोटेशन इनेबल करता हूँ। इनेबल एनोटेशन। जी, ओवर टू यू।
अच्छा, इसमें हमारे पास ये है कि अगर पहले क्वेश्चन रीड कर लेते हैं ताकि थोड़ा सा आइडिया हो जाए क्वेश्चन में क्या गिवन है, देन वी विल प्रोसीड फर्दर। इसमें हमारे पास जो गिवन है वो है रूट गिवन होगा बाइनरी ट्री का, एंड हमने रिटर्न करना है इसकी मैक्सिमम डेप्थ। तो डेप्थ हम उसे कहते हैं लेवल को। अगर फॉर एग्जांपल अगर थोड़ा सा आप ब्रेक डाउन करें, यस, यहाँ पे हमारे पास देखेंगे जो थ्री है, ये एक लेवल बनेगा। जस्ट गिव मी 1 मिनट ताकि मैं अपनी टैब पकड़ लूं और मैं थोड़ा सा इसको एक्सप्लेन कर सकूं। अच्छा, तो हमारे पास 3 एक लेवल है, 8 और 20 एक लेवल है, और 5 और 7 एक लेवल है। तो हम लोगों ने काउंट करना है कि बताना है कि किस तरह जो है वो लेवल, कितने नंबर ऑफ लेवल हमारे पास होंगे, राइट। यानी डेप्थ कितनी होगी, डेप्थ इज इक्वल टू नंबर ऑफ लेवल्स। मेरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग के अकॉर्डिंग आप उसको क्लियर भी कर सकते हैं अगर मैं कहीं पे गलत हूँ तो।
सही है।
सिर्फ एक सेकंड दे, मैं अपने
जी जी।
लैपटॉप पे ज्वाइन कर रही हूँ। अच्छा, मैं स्क्रीन शेयर कर सकती हूँ, मैं फिर इजीली उससे बता सकूंगी।
बिल्कुल, ओवर टू यू।
ये मैक्सिमम क्या था, मैक्सिमम डेप्थ ऑफ बाइनरी ट्री था ना।
यस
जी,
मैम, बाउंड्री की है।
ओके
104। लीड कोड 104।
ओके, तो यहाँ पे देख लेती हूँ मैं इसको next से।
मैम आपकी माइक बंद है आपको।
हेलो। ओ, आई एम सो सॉरी, मेरा माइक अनम्यूट था। तो आपको तो वो अ, ये मेरे पास मैं बता रही थी, ये लेवल 1 है, ये लेवल 2 है और ये लेवल 3 है। अब इसको कैलकुलेट करने के लिए हम लोग करेंगे क्या। अब हमें नहीं पता कि अभी तक हम लोग यूज करने वाले हैं रिकरियन का कॉन्सेप्ट, ठीक है। और रिकरियन में हम लोग ये कहते हैं कि अगर मैंने एक नोड का फाइंड आउट कर लिया तो हम ये बिलीव करते हैं कि बाकी नोड्स जो हैं उसका वो ऑटोमेटिकली वो करके देगा। फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैं इस 9 को कंसीडर करूं तो मैं क्या करूंगी कि अगर मुझे इस 9 का लेवल पता हो तो मैं 3 का लेवल भी पता कर सकती हूँ। अगर मेरे पास मुझे 5 का लेवल पता हो तो मैं 20 का लेवल भी पता कर सकती हूँ। यानी अगर मेरे पास चाइल्ड नोड जो है उसका लेवल गिवन हो, फॉर एग्जाम्पल 7 अपना लेवल बता रहा है, मेरा लेवल है 1, तो मैं 7 में +1 करूंगी तो मेरे पास ये सेकंड लेवल आ जाएगा, 2 हो जाएगा। यानी इसमें मैं +1 ये वाला लेवल जो भी होगा +1 करूंगी तो मेरे पास नेक्स्ट इस 20 का लेवल आ जाएगा। अब इसके लिए हमने करना क्या है, हम लोग क्या करेंगे, हम जिस भी नोड पे खड़े होंगे, फॉर एग्जाम्पल हम 9 के केस में हैं, तो हम इसका लेफ्ट लेफ्ट वाला नोड भी देखेंगे क्या है, इसका राइट वाला नोड भी देखेंगे क्या है, और फिर उसमें जो है हम लोग +1 कर देंगे। तो हमारे पास इस करंट नोड का आ जाएगा। अगर हमने इसका करना है तो हम इसके लेफ्ट सारे चाइल्ड के लेवल पता हो, इनके लेफ्ट राइट के सारे चाइल्ड का मतलब पता हो, तो हम अगर उसमें दोनों में से जो भी बड़ा होगा और उसमें हम +1 कर दें तो मेरे पास इस 3 का लेवल आ जाएगा। ओके, शायद आपको कंफ्यूज कर रहा हो। सबसे पहले इसको ब्रेक डाउन करते हैं छोटे छोटे स्मॉलर टास्क में। अगर मेरे पास कोई एक नोड गिवन है, इस नोड का लेवल फाइंड आउट करने के लिए अगर मेरे पास इसके लेफ्ट का पता हो कितने नोड्स हैं और राइट का पता हो कितने नोड्स हैं, तो इसका फाइंड आउट करने के लिए जो मैक्सिमम होगा इन दोनों में से, लेफ्ट और राइट में से जो मैक्सिमम होगा, +1 करूं तो मेरे पास जो है वो इस वाले नोड का लेवल आ जाएगा। ओके, क्योंकि नीचे वाले सारे मुझे पता है, और +1 यानी ये वाला नोड ऐड करूं, +1 का मतलब है ये वाला नोड की डेप्थ ऐड करूं, तो मेरे पास एड्रेस आ जाता है। अब जो बात यह है, क्योंकि लेफ्ट से भी आ रहा है राइट से भी आ रहा है, तो क्या हमने सम करना है या फिर हम लोगों ने डेप्थ जो है वो उसमें से मैक्सिमम लेना है, ये क्वेश्चन है। अब यहाँ देखें, मेरे पास यहाँ पे जितने मर्जी हो, अगर हम इसकी एज अ लेमैन भी कंसीडर करें तो हम देखेंगे कि मेरे पास डेप्थ कैसे कैलकुलेट हो रही है। यहाँ से 1 और ये 2, तो क्या इस ट्री की डेप्थ 2 है? नो। दूसरा, मेरे पास इस तरफ से आंसर क्या आ रहा है, इसकी यहाँ से देखते हैं फिलहाल। राइट का 1 1 1 इज इक्वल टू 3, ठीक है। यहां से देखते हैं लेफ्ट से, 1 1 1 इज इक्वल टू 3। ये भी मेरे पास रैंडम आंसर आए हैं, मुझे नहीं पता कि एक्चुअल क्या है। तो डेप्थ होती क्या है? मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ, अब उसने क्या पूछा, ये हमारा क्वेश्चन है कि मैक्सिमम नंबर डेप्थ ऑफ द बाइनरी, यानी वो सबसे ज्यादा कहाँ तक नीचे जा रहा है। तो क्योंकि मैक्सिमम फाइंड करना है तो हम कैसे मैक्सिमम फाइंड करेंगे? जो भी लेफ्ट की वैल्यू आएगी और जो भी राइट की वैल्यू आएगी, हम उनमें से कंपेयर करेंगे, जिसकी वैल्यू जो वैल्यू ग्रेटर होगी हम उसको सम करेंगे, प्लस हम लोग जो है वो 1 ऐड करेंगे तो कर लेंगे। अब हम लोग इसको करने के लिए रिकरियन यूज करेंगे, और रिकरियन, अच्छा, लेफ्ट के लिए हम रिकरियन यूज करेंगे, और रिकरियन में हमारे पास जो उसका एल्गोरिदम होता है वो ये होता है कि पहले एक बेस केस होता है, यानी उस पे फंक्शन वापिस क्या कहते हैं, रिटर्न कर देता है, ठीक है, अपना फंक्शन एग्जिट हो जाता है। तो हमारे पास हम जैसे कहेंगे कि एक नोड जो है, अगर वो एम्प्टी हो, उसका वो कब रिटर्न होगा? अगर वो एम्प्टी है, यानी ये वाला एक एक नोड अपनी लीफ को भी कॉल करेगा, और अगर लीफ जो है वो नल है तो उस सिनेरियो में हम जो है वो रिटर्न कर जाएंगे। इस वाले फॉर एग्जांपल 7 के केस में, या 9 या 5, तो ये इसके लीफ नोड है, ठीक है। ये सिंपल सी वर्ड है, टर्मिनोलॉजी है, इसमें यूज होती है। आई आई होप कि इसकी कंफ्यूजन नहीं होगी। जैसे ही हम लीफ नोड पे आएंगे तो हम लोग जो है वो रिटर्न कर जाएंगे। और अब क्योंकि लीफ नोड मतलब लेफ्ट भी नल राइट भी नल, तो उस सिनेरियो में बस हम लोग +1 रिटर्न कर देंगे। कैसे करेंगे? सिंपल सा फॉर्मूला है। फॉर एग्जांपल हम लोगों ने यही मैक्सिमम डेप्थ वाले को करना है। पहली बात है, हम यूं लिख दे, ये लिख देंगे कि अगर हमारे पास इफ नॉट रूट, जो कि आप लोग लिखते हैं नॉट, आप लिखते हैं नल इज इक्वल टू नल, राइट। तो फिर हम लोग यहाँ से कर जाएंगे रिटर्न, और रिटर्न में हमारे हम लोग क्या सेंड करेंगे? रिटर्न हम कर देंगे 0। एक सेकेंड, रिटर्न हम कर देंगे 0। हम क्यों रिटर्न 0 कर रहे हैं? क्योंकि हमारे पास हम ये जो नल वाला केस है, इसका मतलब है ये नोड जो है ये नीचे आ गया, ये यहाँ वाला, ये वाला। फिर इसी तरह ये अपने राइट को चेक करेगा, राइट वाले में भी ये जो है वो, यानी हम यही सेम फंक्शन मैक्सिमम डेप्थ वाला फंक्शन पहले अपने रूट डॉट लेफ्ट के लिए कॉल करेंगे, रूट डॉट लेफ्ट, और यही फंक्शन हम जो है और इसको स्टोर कर लेंगे, जो भी वैल्यू आएगी, फॉर एग्जांपल लेफ्ट की हाइट, या फिर राइट, इसी यही हम कॉल करेंगे राइट की हाइट से, मैक्सिमम ऑफ रूट डॉट राइट। ये लिखते हुए हम लोगों ने ये यकीन रखना है कि ये अपने लेफ्ट का, क्योंकि लेफ्ट से एक लेफ्ट का आंसर भी ठीक कैलकुलेट करके आएगा, क्योंकि ये रिकरियन है, बार बार खुद को कॉल कर रहा है, तो इनिशियल में ये 0 रिटर्न करेगा। इस नोड के लिए ये जो रिटर्न करेगा, ये वन लेफ्ट वाला, एक सेकेंड, ये वाला जो है ये भी 1 रिटर्न करेगा, और ये इस सिनेरियो में भी ये 1 रिटर्न हो रहा होगा। ठीक है, तो आपने इस बात पे कंफ्यूज नहीं होना। तो हम लोग क्या कर देंगे एट द एंड, इस फंक्शन जब ये एग्जिट होगा तो हम क्या करेंगे, रिटर्न कर देंगे जो भी मैक्सिमम है लेफ्ट की हाइट और राइट की हाइट, इन दोनों का जो भी मैक्सिमम होगा +1। तो ये हमारे पास जो है ये कैलकुलेट करके दे देगा इसकी डेप्थ। आई डोंट नो कि मैंने सही से
अच्छा मैं
बताया
अच्छा
है।
मैम, इसमें हम मैक उसमें नहीं लगाएंगे ना? फिर आपने जब नीचे रिटर्न में लगाया ना, तो यहाँ पे नहीं लगेगा लेफ्ट और राइट में, यहाँ पे सिर्फ फंक्शन कॉल होगा जो आपने ऊपर 2 बार कॉल किया ना वहां पर।
नहीं, ये दोनों
यहाँ
फंक्शंस कॉल होंगे ना, ठीक है बिल्कुल, ये दोनों फंक्शंस कॉल होंगे, लेकिन उसके साथ ये जो हम वैल्यूज ले रहे हैं ना, ये वाली, इसमें से देखेंगे। ये
यस
मैंने ये राइट लिख दिया ना, इसे ये कॉमा लगा के हम लिखेंगे RH, ये वाला वेरिएबल, यहाँ से ये।
यस मैम, मैं ये कह रहा हूँ मैम, आपने मैक्स लगा दिया, रिटर्न में आपने मैक्स लिखा है ना, तो आप उसमें मैक्स ही लिखेंगे, लेफ्ट और राइट में फिर मैक्स ही लिखेंगे, वहां सिर्फ
हाँ
फंक्शन
हाँ
कॉल।
हाँ, ये नहीं लिखेंगे, आई एम सो सॉरी, ये मैंने नहीं लिखा, बस हम ये फंक्शन, ये मैंने अपनी तरफ से ये लिखा हुआ है, ये मैक्सिमम डेप्थ
ओके।
लिखा हुआ है, ये यही फंक्शन लिखा हुआ है मैंने, ये इधर इसे शॉर्ट लिख दिया था। तो ये मिक्स हो गए हैं दोनों, क्लैरिटी नहीं रही, तो मैं कहना चाह रही थी ये मैक्सिमम रखती यानी रिकरियन कॉल करेंगे। तो अभी पता नहीं अप्रोच ठीक है या नहीं, कल मैंने देखा था कि ऐसा होता है, तो अभी बता दें आप ठीक है कि नहीं।
यस
मैम
मैम,
इसकी
आई थिंक अप्रोच क्लियर है, ठीक है मैम, इसी को होगा इस वक्त।
एक और चीजें जो मैंने सीखी थी, अगर आप इंटरेस्टेड हैं तो मैं आप लोगों को बता देती हूँ जल्दी जल्दी, क्योंकि उसमें जो मैंने जो कल सीखा है वो यही है कि प्री ऑर्डर, पोस्ट ऑर्डर, और क्या कहते हैं,
हाँ,
इन ऑर्डर,
ऑर्डर, यस।
रिवर्सल, और साथ साथ क्या कहते हैं उसको, ट्री बिल्ड करना भी।
जी।
अभी कल तक मैंने इतना ही देखा था।
यस, तो मैम ये तीनों डीएफएस ही है, प्री ऑर्डर, इन ऑर्डर, पोस्ट ऑर्डर, आप कोई भी लगा सकती है तीनों में से यहाँ पे। तो ये तीनों से सॉल्व हो सकता है, लेकिन हमें +1 करना होगा, काउंट हमें यहाँ पे काउंट बनाना है ना। तो वो हमने एक ऐड करना है चीज, कि हमारे वो नोट्स को काउंट करता रहे कि उसको कितने चाइल्ड नोट्स मिल गए, जो भी आपने किया था। Yes.
ओके, ओवर टू यू सर, अगर आप इसको सर तलहा आप इसको डिफरेंट तरीके से कराना चाहिए और करना चाहें।
आप इसका कोड इम्प्लीमेंट करना चाहेंगे या मैं टेक ओवर कर लूँ?
अब मैं कट करती हूँ, एक सेकेंड, ये है ठीक है नहीं, मैं अभी इसको क्रॉस करूँ।
बेसिकली आपने पोस्ट ऑर्डर रिवर्सल करना है, और फिर जिस तरह आप उसको रिटर्न कर रही हैं, मुझे सिर्फ उसकी वो अप्रोच मैं देख चुका हूँ, सही है वो, लेकिन मुझे ये रिकर्जन की ये क्लियर नहीं है, तो आई नीड टू डू इट विद माई हैंड। वो जो जो आप रिटर्न कर रहे होते हैं उसमें आपकी वैल्यू ऐड करते हैं, तो आई स्टिल नीड टू लाइक, इंशाल्लाह इस वीकेंड पे आई वर्क ऑन दैट। फॉर नाउ यू कैन जस्ट इम्प्लीमेंट द वे यू हैव सीन इट।
यस मैम, आप करें, मैं आपको बता दूंगा अगर कोई इशू होगा तो।
ठीक।
मैक्सिमम डेप्थ में हम रूट डॉट लेफ्ट कॉल कर देते हैं, और राइट की डेप्थ के लिए हम मैक्स कॉल कर देते हैं, और फिर एट द एंड हम रिटर्न कर देंगे मैक्स ऑफ दिस एंड राइट हाइट और
प्लस
प्लस।
वन। यस।
चेक करते हैं
यस मैम।
कौन सा अननोन एरर आ गया,
नहीं मैम,
अननोन
वो
नेटवर्क।
चल, चल नहीं रहा आपका लीड कोड।
एक सेकेंड में देखो इसको, लीड कोड क्यों नहीं चल रहा, ये क्या अजीब सी बात है, अननोन नेटवर्क एरर, ये क्या लॉजिक है।
नेट इशू है मैम आपको।
जूम तो चल रहा है, फिर कौन सा नेट इशू? वो भी क्या है, जो लिखा था वो भी क्या है?
तो
ओके,
कोई नहीं।
तो मैं लॉग इन कर लेती हूँ इससे पहले कि वो भी चला जाए।
हाँ, लॉगिन तो जरूरी है।
इसमें सेल्फ तो नहीं पास करना होता, सेल्फ डॉट सेल्फ
यस,
कॉमा
यस मैम, वो करना पड़ेगा, सेल्फ डॉट लिखना पड़ेगा।
सेल्फ, ये होगा सेल्फ, सेल्फ डॉट रू, सेल्फ कॉमा।
नहीं मैम, इधर नहीं, मैम सेल्फ इधर नहीं होगा।
हाँ,
वो आपने सिर्फ सेल्फ डॉट लिखना है, नेक्स्ट स्टेप से पहले सेल्फ डॉट लिखते हैं, यहाँ पर नहीं है।
ओके, ओ
यस,
आई गॉट इट, आई गॉट इट।
यस,
मैं ये पहले लिख लूँ, रूट डॉट लेफ्ट,
तो वो आप लिख लें तो वो मैं ऐड कर दें।
और यहाँ लिखती हूँ राइट इज इक्वल टू सेल्फ डॉट।
हाँ मैम, यहाँ पे रिटर्न वाले मैक्स फंक्शन लगाना है। आपने फंक्शन कॉल नहीं करनी है। यस, सबमिट देख लें, हो जाएगा। क्लियर है। यस,
कल मैंने एक और चीज देखी थी, ब्रेड्थ फर्स्ट सर्च वाला भी मैंने देखा था,
यस,
क्योंकि वहां पे लूप यूज करना होता है, राइट?
यस मैम, उससे भी हो सकता है ये प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व, बिल्कुल मैम, सही। क्यू यूज होता है वहाँ पे, क्यू आपका डबल, वो आपका पाइथन में जो इनबिल्ट क्यू है वो यूज कर लेते हैं हम। उससे ये
बिल्कुल
होता है कि आपका, आप ब्रेथ से जा रहे होते हैं ना, आपकी क्यू में आप देख लेंगे कितनी बार क्यू बन रही है, उतना काउंट कर लेंगे, जितनी वो बनेगी ब्रेथ, फिर उसका काउंट एंड एंड में रिटर्न
बिल्कुल
कर
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। जब हमारे पास नल आता है तो हम लोग जो है वो
देंगे।
क्यू
यस,
से निकाल लेते हैं, और फिर दोबारा उसको इंसर्ट भी कर देते हैं ताकि।
यस, बेसिकली होता है ये कि स्टार्टिंग में आपको रूट मिलेगा तो क्यू में एक एलिमेंट आएगा, फिर आप उसी
हम्म,
एलिमेंट को बाहर निकालेंगे क्यू में से, फिर उसके चाइल्ड को आप वापस क्यू में डालेंगे, तो उस टाइम काउंट में ऐड कर देंगे कि अभी क्यू एम्प्टी हो गई है, एक
हाँ,
काउंट में ऐड हो गया, फिर दोबारा दो चाइल्ड है, अब उनका जब हो जाएगा उनके उनके चाइल्ड आएंगे, तो वो जब खत्म हो जाएंगे तो हम इंक्रीमेंट करेंगे काउंट में, क्योंकि हम लेवल नीचे जाते जाएंगे, डेप्थ में जाते जाएंगे ब्रेथ से कर करके ना, इस
बिल्कुल
टाइप से। तो फिर
बिल्कुल
आखिर
ऐसे ही।
में जितना काउंट होगा, फिर आखिर में वही काउंट हम फॉर लूप के बाद रिटर्न कर
बिल्कुल,
देंगे। यस,
आपने बिल्कुल ठीक पूरा एल्गोरिदम आपने जुबानी जो है वो एक्सप्लेन कर दिया, जबरदस्त, बिल्कुल ऐसा ही है, ऐसे ही इम्प्लीमेंट होगा।
यस।
ओवर टू यू सर तलहा। सो
Okay, थैंक यू वेरी मच। मजा आ गया आज। किसी और ने प्रेजेंट किया। ओके, नाउ let me try my way. It's actually exact same idea, but I'm using a helper function. So instead of like using that same function within this function, what I'm doing is I am doing the recursion part in a separate method. And that separate method, what I'm doing is I'm keeping a, uh, let me get this annotator here. So as I'm going down, yes, I'm increasing my levels, but I'm keeping a count by introducing a variable int depth, and I'm adding 1. Okay. And yesterday, the problem we tackled, we did the same thing for the post order, for the level order algorithm that we did was once we hit null, we return, okay? I keep a counter. In the last question I had levels, and here I have depth. Okay, so my depth increases. Let's say the depth is 2 here, the depth is 1 here. When my recursion returns this, my level becomes 1 and then explores the right. My level becomes 2. So I was counting levels in my last solution, but here I need the max and min, exact same thing that what Ma has done here. So what I'm doing is I'm using post order, meaning I'll explore this, and then I'll process this one, okay? And then I'll keep comparing the depth. And as I keep getting a better and better depth, I keep counting that. And once I hit null, I just return my value to root, okay? I don't worry about what the value is here. I'm just counting depth. So let me do my implementation. The concept Ma has been able to clarify pretty much. But this implementation might seem interesting or it may seem boring. It's up to you. So let's see. Okay. Let me write a helper function. I'll replicate what I have here because I'm trying to use an existing class and give it a node. I'll give it a new integer depth and increase the depth. And I need to write a base condition where if my node reaches null anywhere, in that case, I want to return the depth count. I want to return the depth count. Actually, give me a second. Okay, after I return my depth, I want to introduce a left explorer and a right explorer.
I think if the node is null, you will return 0.
Yes, sir, you are right. But I think we have to perceive what sir will return in next step function.
Yes,
Why do I need to
maybe.
return 0?
Because when node is null, the depth under that node is 0.
But I will just not
Not
count that. Why do I need to count that then? I'm not going to count that. So my
yeah.
existing
Okay.
depth, see, depth is a independent variable. So I'm just returning whatever I've counted for depth.
Okay. Okay, sir. Continue. Let me see.
Okay.
Move forward. Yes.
So I'll call this helper function with node.left. Increase my depth by 1. Unless it's null, of course, then we return node.right. For node.right, my depth should be calculated as well, but that will be calculated in a different story in a different variable. And I can keep on returning the comparison between the left depth and right depth. And if I've explored the left and I find out that my right is in fact greater than the left, then in that case I choose this over this, right? I don't consider this one. And then finally when I reach null, then I return my answer because my depth is not from here, my depth is from here, okay? So I'm not disregarding this part because this is common part, and then I'm counting in this one. So once I reach null, I just return the existing depth, and then the depth that is returned from the left half, depth 1 is then when this is recursed over, let's compare with depth 2. And whatever is greater, that's something that's going to be returned. Okay, that's what this is doing. This returns the depth, and this right here, this is supposed to calculate and keep returning the whichever one is greater, right?
Yeah.
So let's add left, right, and now I think if I submit this, this should work. No, it will not work.
Depth.
I need to call this.
Yes, you have to call the function first. Yes, then
And
help.
and most importantly,
Mhm.
you have to where you have defined the depth. Okay, you are passing 0. Okay,
Yes,
so my question is, um, the idea of recursion is we are calling the same function again, again, and again, right?
yes,
Yeah.
So what Talha you are doing? You are calling 9 functions. For example, there are 10 functions that needs to be called. The same function 10 times need to be called, right? Let me rephrase. So what I'm saying, there there is a need to call a function 10 times. You are calling that function 9 times, and the same type of task you are calling another function. So I don't think so there is a need to make another function, private function.
Correct.
So if I'm wrong, I could be wrong. I'm just saying from my perspective, it could be wrong. So if you are doing this, give me some justification that why you are doing it, because
The most obvious justification is I don't properly understand recursion, so I just break it down into a separate. Um, I still think
okay,
in terms of pointer plus recursion.
okay,
Uh,
okay.
whenever I think about recursion, I somehow, if I arrive at an answer, then I'm unable to justify it. If I'm able to justify, then I'm not able to provide the solutions. So that's why I've reserved my weekend for working on just recursion. To clarify that, I have a good set of problems. But I think still we are recursively able to call the nodes, except
Yes.
for the ease of tracing, I'm using a depth counter, which I'm sure in your implementation, we're doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
By the smart way. But this is like, it's like for dummies, you know, those books. So this is for dummies. So anyways,
Yes, it's by the way, if we see it logically, this is not going to harm our space at the time. Both of the solutions are similar. The approach is just your way of writing it. There is no major difference.
yes.
it
Sir,
should
you have
be.
missing the semicolon. Right line
Okay.
number
Yeah.
last.
Thank you. You guys might be thinking, what kind of Java developer am I? Well, in like I told you guys, not every company requires like a lot of very clever programming. A lot of it is reusing libraries and delivering the stories. So this is an opportunity for me to learn from you guys and get good at coding, programming.
We are learning you from you as well. So in fact, we are learning only from you. Thank you,
I
sir.
appreciate the kind compliments. My manager would disagree. Anyway, okay. So it got accepted, of course. It was exact same idea what Ma did. But basically, we are exploring depth, right? And we are comparing depths. We are exploring depth and we're comparing the relative depths. And relative depths would mean left versus right. Post order explores the left and right node of the root node. This is your root node. Okay. what's different here is that we are not just thinking in terms of levels, okay? Because in the question we did yesterday, we were doing level order traversal if we have two subtrees like this that are joining at some other root, then we are trying to compare the levels, right? But here we are comparing the depths of the left side and the right side. Okay, and this is basically simpler than what we did yesterday. I think the one we did yesterday was a medium question for the same reason. But doing a medium one made this one easier for me to understand. And plus, we have done those max min comparisons in the array questions. So that was really helpful for me when I started thinking, okay, they're asking about comparison between two varying values, meaning what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to explain the intuition, how I arrive at that intuition, because I think that's more important when you're under time pressure. And one thing I changed today for me to try to solve this is I set a timer for myself, 15 minutes. And I saw myself being focused and doing actually accomplishing more as compared when I do it in an hour. But how did I arrive at that intuition? First is this timing, and the second is I'm seeing a pattern now. See, this is for those of you who are watching this video on YouTube live, maybe watching a recording. Um, how do you get good at LeetCode? I'll tell you, the more questions you solve and quality questions, right? If you do this grind 75 list right here that we have at Code Guru, you'll be able to see patterns if you do good questions. So this is a question that is advanced, right? Binary trees are not easy unless you have learned recursion and linked lists. And even if you've done recursion linked list, if you've never compared two different varying values, max 1 and max 2, it's hard to actually understand this. It looks simple diagrammatically, but how did you arrive at that intuition is that you see things. The first thing I saw, okay, they're looking for what is the best value. Okay, so rings a bell. We did something similar in array, buy and sell stock, right? And second thing I saw was the uh, recursion, because recursion is used, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you are trying to explore unknown domain, right? You don't know what comes later. You have a large set of data and can be like a complex data, but you set some conditions, right? And I think this is what you do in the greedy approach and dynamic programming as well. So I don't know how long is my binary tree, how many nodes left or right. So what I can do is at least I know that there's always a left and right, or maybe there's one right or left or there's no. So I take those conditions and I just explore them recursively, make them go through all of those conditions, left, right, and null. That's second thing. The first thing was comparing two values. Second is recursively going through. And I think the third intuition was the finally and third intuition was like I need to have some kind of tracer. Even though this may not be needed in Ma's implementation, that was pretty efficient. But a pointer, a single pointer to keep trace of things, a count. So if you've done questions where you keep count, I use all these four things that I knew, and I saw these could be applied in a certain way. So this is called pattern recognition, and hope this will help you guys. But yeah, I think Faizan raised his hand. Please go ahead and unmute your mic. You want to say something?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I want to ask something. We do recursion when we see that our problem can be divided into sub-problems. Like we see that it's our node, and we will traverse like left, right. It's a repetition process, and we can divide our big problem. It's a big binary tree into a single node binary.
Hmm.
So we apply recursion here. And we also see like this in depth first search with for loop, it is so difficult to implement depth first search with for loop or loops. With recursion, it is so easy to implement our depth first search. And for BFS, we will apply here for loops. So we will traverse level by level, and we can also solve this problem this way. Yes. With
Correct.
BFS
Yeah.
and DFS, both
Correct.
approach.
Yeah, I think this is a more befitting definition of what recursion is breaking a big
Yes,
problem into known subproblems, right?
yes,
Yeah, known subproblems. And if you can see it, and if you see that it can be broken, but then, of course, recursion is about trying, okay? Even though if you can see it, then it's kind of experimental, right? So you apply on it, and then you find out what you can. I mean, in real life applications, unless you run it, you just by analysis, just by looking at a problem, a real life problem, you may not be able to 100% guarantee with a large scope that your recursion will always succeed. You can defer with me, but I think it's also majorly experimental in nature. But it's very powerful, actually. But I've heard from my seniors that they haven't seen recursion being used in um, large scale applications. Maybe it's time complexity wise, it's complex, but that depends from use case to use case. If it's needed, it's needed. If it's not, then it's not. Who knows?
yes, sir. One more point. If I ask a question from you, there is a problem, and we can apply there with loops or recursion both. What should apply? If we apply loop, or we should apply loop or recursion.
If I think if applying loops makes your code complex and makes you write a lot of lines, then I think using recursion is a smarter way. Otherwise, if it's like a trivial problem, then um, I
Okay.
think in that case, use loops because you have more control and it's easier to read. Recursion, it's layers upon layers. Unless someone knows recursion, a new developer comes in, they look at your code and like, oh, what the hell's going on? Then they'll need to figure it out, right? So, especially in the industry, they want to write a code that's readable, that will not increase complexity, especially when your code goes to production. A defect comes in, customers impacted. You don't want your developer to be sitting for a week taking courses on recursion just to solve a bug, right? So why not use something
Sir,
simpler?
yes. One more thing, sir, is here. Like, if you see a recursion always says, always take space complexity, more space. Why? Because when you call function like I call left side here, then our call stack will be maintained. Like 9 will be here.
Hmm.
Then 3 will be called 20. 20 also will come here. Like it will pop out, then 20, then 15. So here extra space is used for recursion every time. When you use recursion in every problem, it will maintain a call stack which takes space. For
Hmm.
large data, it will take a many space. If my data is 1 million array of 1 million elements, so it will
Hmm.
take 1 million elements extra space stack to maintain recursion. But in for loop, if there's no need of extra space, if I iterate for loop for counting, like counting, it will count
Hmm.
it iterate. Not it will not take any extra space, only a single variable, and it will iterate and give me a result. But it will reduce the space, no extra space, O of constant space. But it will take O of n space every time recursion. That's the main point we have to consider, that when we applying recursion every time, so we have to see it will take space, extra space. If we apply there for loop, like in dynamic programming, first we apply with recursion, then we apply dynamic programming for memoization, like dictionary we will maintain, then we will store.
Hmm. Your voice went away, or are you still talking, or your recursion stopped as well on light mode? Hello?
I think his internet was disconnected.
Yeah, that's the problem with recursion. Even internet disconnects because there's too much space. Just kidding.
Yes.
Yeah, but his point is valid in my opinion. But I think space is not a problem these days with cloud storage and all that. However, still, Um, I've seen like for what my seniors always say is because I think they have seen all these defects and projects failing, is that you will write really efficient algorithm, really complex and super sophisticated. And the next thing you find out is like, oh, no one can actually modify it because you've written it so complex. But at the same time, it comes down to is the what your architect chooses. You have in high level design document, you have low level design. Low level design document determines chooses for you, actually decides for you what you should be using as data structure. So, for instance, if I'm getting a payload meaning a request, a REST API request, do I want to map it to a hash map, all the values? Well, that depends on how large is my payload, how frequently things change. Um, if it is, if most of my operations are getting one value and setting it to it, like getters and setters, then hash map is a good choice. It's actually very easy to implement. Tomorrow, I want to build a new feature. I want to enhance an existing API. All I do is I use like something called a path variable hash map. It just path variable is just a name. So whatever your API is receiving, those path parameters are mapped into that hash map named path variable, and anyone can use it into their own requests, their own enhancements. Writing a core logic, that's one thing, but where the actual business happens is enhancements. That's where your money comes in, right? Uh, Customer came in saying, I want my phone number, my calls to be forwarded to another phone number whenever someone calls this number for like 3 days or something. Then they can request for uh, a remote number forwarding feature. They can call the service provider, and I want to implement that in my existing application. So I just take a hash map, I just include a new attribute. The same hash map, I include a new attribute. I say RNF. If a customer is asking for RNF number, then we also include that in the same. So enhancement became very easy. Instead of using a linked list or a list where you have to traverse and implementation is so complex, or using recursion over an entire list. So I see a lot of getters and setters being used, constructors, um, because it's all about oops when it comes to writing your building your product. How can you take your complex idea and translate them into simple, reusable, recyclable objects? That's the art, and that's what I love about software engineering. Over to you guys. I think I have talked for long enough. We may not have much time left, but if you guys want to say something, it's over to
Thank you
you.
so much, sir, for sharing your experience and telling us what is happening inside the industry. This is just the main focus. I mean, sometimes I really confuse. But along with this, I know that lead code is also important. So we don't left with any choice. In order to get into the industry, lead code is a must.
Yeah, why am I doing lead code if I have a job and we're not using it? I see a
Yeah.
need for it, not just to get a job. For me, I like it, first of all. I like being confused and working through a problem. Second, what if I want to move to a project that actually requires these kind of things? So I want to be the most helpful guy. I want to be the most useful person. So I can feel fulfilled working there, not just randomly copying hash maps. So it also depends person to person. But yes, you're right. Lead code is an important thing for interviews and getting in. Um, but of course, if you want to go to architect roles, switch to architect roles pretty soon. You will need these, right? How will you convince your client that, hey, we using linked list over an array is better for your product, right? If you've never worked on linked list, you'll be just watching some YouTube video and telling them. So lead code is good. I mean, I am planning on going into code forces as well once I'm done with these 75 and solid grasp. Contests, participating contests, Ma, you would agree, and Farouk as well, everyone, that participating into contests can teach you a lot as well.
Yeah, I agree. So thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
Have a
Thank you,
wonderful
sir.
day.
Another thank you is that you have completed your 6 week course on the iCode Guru, and your way of teaching and explaining the thing is amazing, sir.
Jazakallah.
Even you are beginner in the lead code, but I think you are too much good from me. As like I am trying to solve problems, but uh, too
Make
much
dua.
struggle in lead
Make
code.
dua. I'm telling you, brother. I make dua before every session, before solving every problem. Durood Sharif in the beginning and in the last, the way Prophet Sallam prescribed us. And 100% of the time, any task that is stuck, Allah helps me 100% of the time. So ask Allah for every. And I've been trying to learn these things for 1.5 years, but I always feel like give up. This time, Allah opened this door for me. I called Guru and see, I've arrived to Bunny Tree. I'm surprised myself. So always rely on Allah. Inshallah, things will open up for you.
Inshallah, inshallah.
Sure.
You are the only trainer of this course, or is there anyone?
Sarasal is also a co-trainer, but he rarely contributes. I think he wants us to put our best because he has already, I think, 600 questions in. So he wants us to thrive. Um, so I'm glad that he, Sir Zubair Zafar and Sarasad, they pushed me into this. Otherwise, I was reluctant, like, sir, I haven't done enough questions. How will I train? They say, no, just get started. And I think that was similar to when I was pushed into the swimming pool when I was in cadet college. I was in Garrison Cadet College when I was in Pakistan. So I was not willing to jump into the pool to learn swimming. And then the trainer and the principal, they grabbed me and pushed me into the swimming pool. And then I was hiding for weeks. And then one day I decided if those kids can do it, why can't I swim? And then I made a dua and then came back. I jumped in. I asked my trainer, okay, show me the moves. Once I done in shallow, then I jumped into the deep. And after that, I became a swimmer. And I started to love swimming. But I was so paranoid because people had put these things into my mind. Oh, once you drown, if you're not expert, you're going to drown for sure. And then this is going to happen. They were trolling me, of course. But um, yeah, always rely on Allah and jump in. Maha, could you arrange a system design uh, session? Could you work with the admin team to see if we can have a system design, or maybe we can have it on the site? It doesn't have to be through iCode Guru.
For the okay, I will think about it and I will get back to you.
Okay, sure. No worries. For now, we can stop the recording. Whoever is the moderator, I think we don't have any other question to present. This was the end of week. So you can go ahead and stop the recording.
Can
Sir,
you do little bit overview of the what is system design and should we learn it?
How much time is left actually? Because the session will actually close down
Uh,
before I finish my
I
sentence.
will not. I will not start the meeting for the next 5 minutes because next session is mine.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, cool. So system design is basically learning the concepts um, that are used to design a system, construct a system. So when you are putting together an application, you're not just thinking in terms of an application, a single application, or a single piece of software copied over multiple servers running, right? You think in terms of systems, okay? And why is a system necessary? Is system handles failures. Okay, what is the need for any system in the world? That's what you have to look at, right? So any system that is designed in the world, whether it is a social system, it is a judicial system, those systems are designed to handle known problems, okay, whatever we know best, and problems that can be avoided. So we can focus on problems, tackling problems uh, that don't have solutions yet and that are important. That's how I like to think about it. So the architectural diagrams you see, and when you look at any high level diagram, you will see that there are multiple servers, databases joined by lines, and um, storages and cloud. And you may wonder, like, what is it? How did they come up with that? They did just not like gather a bunch of technology and then started joining lines. And in fact, they studied the requirements of the application and who's going to be using it, for how long it's going to be, right? And then they uh, gave that once they had the idea of what the application needed to be, then these architects started working to provide the most suitable environment for the application to run. And that environment is a system. It's just like there's an ecosystem on Earth, right? There's no Earth's ecosystem. There's an ecosystem in a company, how things work. For example, leaves, when leaves fall, they become what you call manure for the land, for things to grow, and so on and so forth, right? So there's a cycle. So it's an environment that Allah has created. So when it comes to us as architects, we want to give our application the best chance to survive, to thrive, not just as an application, but also as a business. Okay. So that is where the design thinking comes in. You want to design a system that gives your application to thrive in the best conditions, um, to accomplish its goals as a business as well, which is mostly what it is right now, the capital market, capitalism driven market, right? Uh, so when you study this subject, you're learning the best practices, you're learning the uh, networking concepts, you're learning the design patterns that you need to use when you think about designing a system. So that's what a system design is. So I hope I was able to clarify and give you the idea of the feeling of what it is.
Yes, I got some like overview. Mm, I think mean what we can do best for our application. That's why we study system design so that our application
I mean,
run.
any random person learning web development, what do they do? They only know there's a front end, there's a back end, and I need to use JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and database. As soon as I just connect them, the application should work. But as a software engineer or a software architect, when you specialize in a special
Yes.
domain, then you cannot think like that, right? Because then you won't be even like a week or two in, and then there will be like inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un of your application business. You'll be visiting the funeral of your $1 million investment, for instance. So yeah, the last company I worked with as a tester, I started as a testing apprentice. That failed not because of the design, but because of the person did not understand, the owner did not understand the requirement himself. The owner, the investor wanted to have a review system for doctors only, so people can switch between doctors based on reviews from the previous patients. But then my architect suggested, no, um, create a generic review system. And then once we get investments, we can also specialize, have it for doctors as well. He said, no, this is my product. I know what I'm doing. Okay. And then 2 years in, and ta-da, we don't have any more investments. Would you like to work on equity? I'm like, yeah, tell me what the equity is. And then the owner is like, no response, stop payments, termination of employment. So there's a lot that goes into it. Communication is always number one. Clearly communicating, understanding, and then proceeding with including technologies and ways to support your application and also build the application. So designing includes all of this.
Okay, so shukriya. Now we will left the meeting.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, all of you.
Sir, one more question, sir. In which subject we have to consider for system design for future? What are mandatory subjects in computer science degree?
I, I ne- I never went to college. I'm sorry. I don't know. But I would say
Like hardware related subjects, the system programming type uh, courses. Yes. Okay. So I think it can work. Okay. In system design, I think first we have to think about problem solving, then system design, because it will take, I think, 2 to 3 weeks to prepare for system design.
in simple words, system design is translating your idea into a technical solution.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's it.
Okay. Yes. Already many systems. We have to choose which system design will uh, apply for this problem for this
No, 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 not the system design patterns you can use. System you have
design.
to design yourself.
Yes, yes. Design patterns are already built. Then we have to choose
Yes,
what
there
pattern.
are design patterns, and you may be able to come up with a custom design pattern using two. It's a composite design pattern using two existing patterns. Like, for example, in our company, we're using command pattern, and we're using strategy pattern um, for a code basis to run. It makes things very easy for everyone to understand what is the flow of your code, what is the flow of your business. So not everyone has to look at the code base, but they can just look at the configuration file, the application YAML, and tell, okay, first this workflow was executed for this business case, and then this, and then this, and this. And that's how we do the strategy pattern. And then we enforce these patterns using command patterns. Um, but yeah,
Yes. Okay.
hey,
Thanks a lot.
yeah, no problem. Okay, folks, enjoy your weekend, work hard, and shall see you on Monday.
Inshallah, sir. Sir, you are host, so you can end the meeting.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
host. I
Yes.
thought I was the
Yes.
guest.
Right.
Hello,
Yes.
sir. I have a question. I'm just new to iCode Guru. I have joined this session first time, so I would